she is. I joined the Foxbody Club and got myself a 1988 GT with a little over 200,000 miles on the clock. So what we'll do is we'll just go over it, basically the ins and outs, the engine, exterior, interior, hatch, suspension, all that jazz, and see exactly what I got myself into for a new project. So yeah, let's just start with the engine. So it appears to be an original engine out of this car, or at least period correct. It's a 5.0 high output, at least on the manifold anyway. Stock airbox, factory components with the radiator and so forth. AC lines, I haven't tested them out yet, but I would suspect they're still running. The only thing I'm not too crazy about is all this blue accents, so I'm gonna have to address that at some point. But it does run and drive. So at some point it looks like the headlights were changed out to these aftermarket style, appear to be in good shape. I might change them out to the smoke style. I'm not too crazy about clear. Front bumper has seen some better days. There's a bunch of gouges, and actually this left fog light bezel, it's got a huge crack in it. Same thing on the bottom part of the bumper. Bunch of stress cracks here and up here. So at one point I was thinking about maybe trying to get it repaired, but it may be more money than it's worth, and probably just get a new one. So moving over to the fender. Fender's actually in really good shape, actually both sides. It's got this decal, or at least I thought it was a decal, but it's got this pinstripe on it. At first I wasn't too crazy about it, but I'm starting to grow. It's starting to grow on me. So it's unique. I might just keep it. Kind of just wish it was moved over a little bit more this way towards the outer part of the car, because this line just kind of throws it off, just how the line of the hood goes, as opposed to this straight line here. So anyway, it's missing the antenna, which is not a big deal, because I will just buy a block off plate anyway, because I don't listen to the radio. It's got the wiper arms inside the car, and the wiper cowl actually looks to be in very good shape. It was actually filled up with a bunch of leaves. I already vacuumed all that stuff out. All right, moving to the door trim. This is not too bad a shape. It's gonna have to be fixed. This one, however, on the door, that will have to be replaced. It looks like both corners are actually pretty damaged. So rockers look good. Doors and mirrors look good. I will have to do something about this window trim on both sides. Quarter windows look really good. Quarter panels look good. It is rocking pony wheels on all four corners. It is 4-lug. Running with some brakes, drum brakes. Again, the roof, aside from the little paint chip here, and it just surface rust right there on here. The only question that I have, so the roof looks pretty stout. The only question I have is here. I don't know if that's normal. Yeah, see that big bubble? I don't know. So either way, rear bumper. Aside from that, but that just looks to be a little piece of cosmetics, so not too bad. It's got the cheese graters on those, so probably will be replacing that for some LX style taillights. I'm not a real big fan of these. So, rear bumper. So it's got this, I do have the original wing. He did give me the original wing when I bought it. And, but it's got, I believe this is a Celine style whale tail. So, I dig it. But the deck lid looks pretty good, aside from some paint. Rear glass looks good. The hatch with a full spare wheel. And matter of fact, so looks like all the trim pieces are in pretty decent shape, pretty decent. I don't know about this one here specifically, but overall, yeah, it looks pretty good. I even have the curtain or the cover in fairly good shape as well. I will be ripping out that amp. So, and obviously, I will have to replace these hatch shocks. All right, moving over to the other side of the bumper, rear quarter panel, quarter glass, very good shape. All the door trim seems to be in a lot better shape than that of the passenger. Mirrors are painted. I don't know if that's factory correct. Again, with the exception of some paint chipping on the rockers, they're still in good shape. Front fender here, really good. So overall, a very, very clean car, a very straight car, a rust-free car. All right, let's check out the interior. So the interior is probably going to need the most work. So I will at one point going to have to address the doors and either fix, replace, or just try and repair it. The seats, at least the two front seats, are in really decent shape. Nothing that a good like steam clean won't be able to fix. A lot of this stuff here is for the 98, including the amp here. I'm gonna try and test something out with that vacancy there. Back seats are in really good shape because honestly, who sits in the back seat? Headliners got a couple of rips and tears, so nothing too crazy. So not on the priority list for that. Map light. The battery's not hooked up, but it does work. Need a new rear view mirror. That's pretty stained. That stick shift, that shifter is an aftermarket shifter. I don't know what it is, but that's coming out. The center console's got a couple gouges, so I did find a replacement for it locally, so I'll probably go scoop that up here real soon. Dash looks pretty good, just dirty. The only thing that threw me off about this car was this and this. So when I told a friend of mine that I had bought this 88 and I sent pictures, because I got really curious with this, specifically this, since it's just free floating. I didn't know if, because I have a bunch of hardware somewhere here, some screws, and I thought I was trying to put them in where I assumed those mounting or those holes were the mounting locations for this thing to rest on the dash. And when I was trying to look at some videos and some articles, this steering wheel started throwing me off because I was looking for a tilt lever on the column and I couldn't find one. And I asked a friend of mine who said he owned an 89 or a 90. I said, hey, do you recall if you had a tilt function? And he couldn't. So after doing some further digging and playing detective, I suspect, because there's some warning lights that are supposed to be back here. Yeah, right there. White box here. So these warning lights are supposed to have a little window right up here up front. And so what I suspect is someone, I don't know what ownership I am with this car. I think it's maybe either 4 or 5, fourth or fifth owner. but I suspect at some point someone took the column and the steering wheel and it took the bezel, the steering wheel and column as a unit and swapped it into this car. I don't know, because maybe they just didn't like the other style steering wheel. Either way, I'm good with it. I'm gonna leave it. It was just what was throwing me off. So I did order a newer correct piece for my application, so it actually works correctly, and it will mount actually. But yeah, and that horse is not supposed to be there, so, and I think it's facing the wrong way, so either I'll remove it or buy the correct piece and put it in the correct location, regardless that it's not an anniversary edition or not. So I don't know, we'll see. But yeah, for the most part, it's again, it looks dirtier than what it is. I mean, nothing with the little cleaning up won't help. And go to the underside of the car. All right, so looks like an aftermarket H-pipe. Don't know what brand. It's got some dumps, but I will have to get some hangers because these are just free floating on both ends, or at least that just needs a rubber insulator hanger. But yeah, no rust. Body's pretty straight. So all right, so let's talk about exactly what I need to do in order for this thing to be driving. So first and foremost, these are going to need at least 2 new tires, if not all 4. Even though they look pretty new, I think they're pretty rotted, dry rotted, because it's sat for a long time. So we'll have to get some tires. When I was driving home, this car actually stalled on me 3 times, and come to find out it was the it was the alternator not charging the battery. I thought it was the battery at first. So after doing some digging, again, I'm not used to Fox bodies. I'm used to I know they're the same chassis type, but I'm used to this particular style model and not this style. So come to find out, I guess the alternator, the stock alternator, factory alternator, is not sufficient once you start using your accessories. I did drive this home at night, so I had lights on and so forth, and stalled on me once when I was putting a little bit of gas in just to make it home. Stalled on me one time because I was in the middle of rush hour traffic when I picked it up. And then the kill shot, the hat trick, when I finally made it home, it just completely died. Didn't want to turn back on. So I ended up actually having to push it to the curb. Which I thought was pretty funny, but I was actually very fortunate that it made it that far without any issues. So yeah, so I will be replacing the alternator. I probably will change out the cooling system. The factory overflow tank looks to be cracked, so probably swap that out. I mentioned that I'm going to replace the exhaust hangers on that. I will have to get some new hood struts, like I mentioned. Clean up the interior on here, like I said. Like I said, I got the new gauge bezel and a lot of factory trim pieces, and obviously I'm picking them up at LMR. So, yeah, for the most part, yeah, I got it for a little over $4,000. I think it's a pretty good investment for what it is. And the very last thing, once I'm done with all that stuff, is I'm going to get it painted. So this is the only thing that's throwing me off about this paint, is the paint code on this shows to be a 1D. And then doing my research, 1D is smoke poly. And the reason why I am confused with this is because either when this was painted, They did a really good job of taking the door panels out and trying to get in there to do like either a complete color change, and inside the door jambs too, because this gray looks very similar to that of my truck. And my truck is a magnetic. This is a 2018 magnetic, paint code J7. This looks very similar to that of a lithium gray or dark shadow gray. So it looks to be a Ford color. I like it, I dig it. I'm just confused as if this was the original color or not. So when I go get it painted, I want to make sure that, you know, I'm at least close to this, or maybe even back to the original 1D paint code. But either way, if you guys know, when you guys seen these back when they were out and prosperous on the road, if this is in fact a 1D, I highly doubt it is, but I like it. I'll probably just keep it. But yeah, we'll definitely address that. Let's see. And then, like I said, it doesn't have a radio. I'm not really big into radios, but I do have my factory radio that came out of the 98, so I'll probably try to use that. I did try to sell my Stetus triac shifter, which I wasn't able to get anybody to buy, so I'll swap that. I don't know what that is, but it sucked driving home. I couldn't find the gears. I mean, it was really sticky, so I'll probably swap that out for that. But yeah, just the whole point of this thing is just to be able to drive it, unlike this, which is supposed to just be my strict race car, track car. But that's another video. But that's all done. This will probably, I'm just trying to make it to where I can just drive this thing. So, yeah, stay tuned. Follow the build whenever I do post. I know it's been a while since I posted. I think it's been like 4 or 5 years since I posted something on YouTube. But yeah, overall, I like the car. It does start, does drive. Appreciate the love and support, and yeah, hopefully you guys will stick around and see exactly what I do to it. It's probably not going to change too much from this, but it will change enough to where it looks like it just rolled off the factory line, and that's the point. So giving myself a reasonable timeline here, probably about 10 months to do everything that I want to do. I don't want to invest like I did with this thing. This thing took me about 5 years to get it to where I wanted, and it's all brand new stuff, mainly the suspension, custom lines and stuff like that. But that's all done. Again, that's another video. This will be more just a restoration project, with the exception of the only thing I may swap out for is a 5-lug conversion, a true 5-lug SN95 conversion. So I don't know, but we'll see. But as far as drivability goes, it's pretty much going to stay where it's at. So yeah, thanks for watching. See you in a bit.